I'm trying to get this right now. It doesn't seem like someone is seeing my... are you seeing my screen, Dr. Zenk?
No.
You are not. Okay. Sherry, for some reason, somebody's seeing my screen. Screen sharing. All right.
Well, there I can.
You can see the screen now?
Yep.
Okay. Folks, if you can't see the screen, just let me know, because it tells me here no one sees my screen. That's not a good thing. Show my screen. I don't even see where that is. Yeah, okay, that's what I should be doing. Golly. Okay. I tell you, I'm totally lost without Sherry. Okay. All right, thanks, Sherry. Sorry about that, folks. Okay. Sherry is actually not here, but she's on the phone giving me instructions. All right, back to what we were saying. Health is a large word. It embraces not the mind, not the body only, but the mind and the spirit as well. Not today's pain and pleasure alone, but the whole being and outlook of man. And much as we try to look at several different aspects of health, folks, the body itself is such a complicated organism that there are several aspects to health for the body. And I think one of the mistakes I've seen people make is they latch on to one specific product or one specific technology, and they say this is the be-all and end all of health, and yet they tend to omit the other aspects. And so what we're trying to do is to put all these different factors together. And so far we've come up with about 7, and hopefully everything fits under these 7 main headings. But how the body works is really the most important thing. Number one, how the body works. Then you'll be more inclined to understand what the body needs, how to maintain posture, why balance is so important, why alignment of the back, for instance, what chiropractors do is so important. We'll be able to understand how to protect ourselves from health challenges, physical wear and tear, and if we do get sick, we'll be able to better understand how to work with the healthcare system. And Dr. Zenk, our presenter today, is going to help us for sure. I'm looking at his slides. I know he's going to be talking about how the body works and what the body needs primarily. And of course, he should talk about some other areas as well. But speaking about what the body needs, nutrition-wise, there are about 7 main products. 7 main nutritional classes that we must have on a daily basis. Otherwise, we cannot claim to be healthy. And most of our foods today just don't have it. I'm just going to rush through these, but you have those here. In addition, we have the superfoods, and Dr. Zenk is going to be talking about one of those classes of superfoods. And of course, acai berry, most of us know about them. We know about the berry, the goji juice, and mangosteen. But there are lots of other superfoods that are being discovered all around the world, and they are being brought into public awareness through the scientific research that has been done on them. So there are lots to be learned about health, and the more exposed you are to the options, the better chances you are of living a very, very healthy and long life. And without much further ado, I just have this picture up here to remind you that the most important systems in the body are, of course, the nervous system, the endocrine system, and the immune system, which I call them the central governing system, which takes care of about 60+ trillion cells. What Dr. Zenk is going to be talking about has a lot to do with the immune system. As a matter of fact, that's the title of our webinar, which is the Immune System Modulation, a Doctor's Perspective by Dr. John Zenk. And I'm just going to read out his bio and then hand it over to him to take charge of the webinar. Sherry does this so much better than I do, but I'll give it a try. Dr. Zenk is the Chief Medical and Scientific Officer of Humanetics Corporation. He is board certified in internal medicine and has over 25 years of clinical experience. He is currently the Chief Medical Officer, again, of Humanetics in the Minneapolis area, and is actively involved in the development of new pharmaceuticals and unique dietary ingredients. Prior to becoming a doctor, he worked as a pharmacist. In the last 10 years, he has spoken both nationally and internationally on the subjects of integrating conventional and complementary medicine, anti-aging technologies, natural product research and developments, He has had several publications and media appearances, including over 50 national radio interviews, over 20 national TV interviews. He's the author of the book, Living Longer in the Boomer Age, and he's a co-author of the book, Are You Age-Wise? And it just goes on and on and on and on. In the last 10 years, he has served as the principal investigator for over 25 controlled clinical studies, many of which have been published in peer-reviewed medical journals. And so it's just with a great amount of honor and pleasure that we actually have Dr. Zenk, who agreed to do this presentation for us. So Dr. Zenk, are you there?
I am.
Well, again, thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Hey, well, thanks for having me. I'm very happy to be here tonight. Hello, everyone. My talk tonight is going to be focusing around how we can modulate our immune system, and we're going to give you kind of a high-level view of what the immune system actually does and some of the important components of the immune system as well. But a healthy immune system is quite critical for optimal health and good general health. It is a highly complex, finely tuned, and integrated system of components that identifies foreign invaders and renders them useless, thereby protecting us from infections and illness and disease. A healthy immune system fights off thousands of environmental toxins and infectious agents every day, every minute of every day, actually. When the immune system is functioning normally, we remain healthy, but when the immune system is compromised, we're prone to viral infections, bacterial infections, fatigue, and increased allergy symptoms. The immune system can be modulated or stimulated to function more efficiently, and the bioactive ingredients in certain mushrooms, which we're going to talk about tonight, are really excellent immunostimulators. And we're going to talk about how they do that and some of the components that they do stimulate in the immune system. Specifically, the complex polysaccharides called beta-glucans in these mushrooms directly stimulate some very key components, particularly macrophages, that we're going to introduce you to tonight too. And all that helps keep our immune system functioning at a normal level. My slides go forward here. So what do we mean by immunomodulation? Well, there's two ways we can modulate the immune system. We can upregulate it with immunostimulators, and we can downregulate it with immunosuppressants. But tonight we're going to focus on immunostimulators, things that stimulate immune function by inducing activation or increasing the activity of any of the components of the immune system. Agarigold is a product I'm going to talk about tonight that is a real potent immunostimulator that does enhance existing immune function and will actually strengthen a weakened immune system. Agarigold is a really unique product. I'll go into why it's unique and why I think it excels in this category of immunostimulators.
Dr. Zenk, some people are complaining that they can't really hear you, that the volume is a little low. Is there any way we can increase the volume a little bit?
Let's see. Not without exiting the slideshow, I don't think.
Well, if you maybe
I'll get close and talk as loud as I can.
Mike. Okay. All right.
Is that better?
That would help. Yeah, thanks.
So before we go into how this immunostimulation process really works, let's take like I said, a high-level look at the human immune system and see exactly what we're talking about here. In medical school, we studied the immune system pretty extensively because it played such an important role in just about every disease process that we studied. The human immune system, like I mentioned at the beginning, is a really complex, finely tuned, highly integrated system of components that seeks out and identifies foreign invaders like viruses, bacteria, pollutants in our body, and renders them useless. They essentially get engulfed and are allowed to be excreted. This helps to protect us from infections and diseases. I'd like to point out that some of these photos that I have in the slides, these are actual electron photomicrographs that I've collected of macrophages primarily. So that red blob that you see in the middle there is actually a genuine macrophage. And those green rod-like organisms that it's battling with there in a dogfight, it looks like, are E. coli, which is a bacteria, a very pathogenic bacteria that's in our colon. So the macrophages actually, and we'll see some better slides coming up, the macrophages actually become like amoebas, and they'll wrap around the E. coli and engulf them, bring them internally, and then they have enzymes within them that actually can render them useless and destroy them. So the human immune system continually and just about every minute of every day is busy fighting off thousands of environmental and infectious agents. It helps to expel these pathogens and get rid of them, particularly even tumor-generating cells. Don't forget, too, that the immune system is quite instrumental in tissue repair and healing. So that those of you who have had surgery or are going to have surgery, a healthy immune system is very vital to how quickly that you recover from your surgery. So it really provides the balance that we need to maintain very normal health. And here's another picture of a macrophage that has what we call pseudopods, which are like fingers that go out and grab these blue, which are streptococcal bacteria, and are rendering those useless. So when the immune system is strong, we remain pretty healthy. But when the immune system is compromised, we're definitely at risk. And during my years as a practicing physician, I've witnessed how important a healthy immune system really is. I can still remember my professors telling me that it was a patient's immune system was mostly responsible for healing and good health. And the doctors simply helped that process along. Well, sure enough, after years of practice, I realized that they were actually right. I noticed that when my patients were suffering from diseases like chronic diseases and cancers and other factors that suppressed their immune system, the harder it was for me to keep them in stable health. But when their immune systems were healthy and they were strong, I really didn't see them much in the clinic after that. They just kind of stayed away and stayed healthy, which is kind of the ultimate goal anyway.
Right.
But a compromised immune function can be caused by a number of different things, a lot of which are environmental, like pollutants. Certainly some of the medications that we take, chemotherapy is an extreme example of something that very much suppresses our immune system. Certainly poor nutrition or even malnutrition will starve the immune system and prevent it from functioning at peak performance. And then chronic diseases like diabetes, heart disease, kidney and liver disease, all put us at risk for a compromise in our immune system. And a very well-known fact is that as we get older, certain portions of our immune system definitely fall off and become less than what they were when we were younger. And the picture that you're seeing here, I think, is nearly one of my favorites. That little red dot up in the upper left corner is actually a red blood cell. So you can kind of see the scale and size here of what's going on inside our tissues in our body and inside the bloodstream. That blue blob next to the red blood cell is actually a white blood cell, and then the purple blob is a macrophage, and again, E. coli bacteria that are being neutralized.
Wow, this is a beautiful picture.
Yeah, I know, that's one of my favorites. So what are the signs of a weakened immune system that we can pick up at home even? Certainly fatigue. If you're getting frequent colds or infections, one right after another, that's a sign of immune system compromise. Certainly a loss of appetite, weight loss, skin rashes, particularly shingles. I used to see shingles quite a bit in my cancer patients, primarily because they were so immunocompromised that the herpes virus, which causes shingles, was allowed to surface and cause some very painful skin rashes. And then, as I mentioned at the beginning, increased allergy symptoms, anything from seasonal allergies to food allergies, all of those tend to surface if the immune system is compromised, because the immune system is not helping the body fight off pollens and other antigens that get into your system. And this picture here is another macrophage, which happens to be an alveolar macrophage, ones that we find in the lung. And it looks like it's doing a good job on those bacteria too. Mm-hmm. So tonight we're going to talk about things that help to stimulate the immune system, either to help keep it healthy or, if it is compromised, to help restore it to normal function. And we're going to talk a lot about mushrooms tonight. And, not all mushrooms are health-promoting. In fact, some can be quite toxic and others, hallucinogenic. So only certain types of mushrooms contain the key ingredients that help support our health. And One mushroom in particular, the Agaricus Blazei mushroom, and that family of mushrooms contains some of the highest concentrations of very helpful compounds that act as immune stimulators. These compounds and their metabolites can have a powerful immune-enhancing property, so powerful, in fact, that they're currently being used as adjuncts to cancer therapy in Japan and China, and they're also used throughout the world to promote immune system health and the benefit of a variety of health problems. So it's these bioactive ingredients that are in the mushrooms, and we're going to talk about these tonight. They're usually complex polysaccharides called beta-glucans that are really the good actors in mushrooms and really help to trigger an immune response to help with our defense against viruses, bacteria, fungus, cancer cells, even parasites. The product that I'm going to introduce you to tonight is one that I think is probably one of the best commercially available sources of beta-glucan, and which has been derived actually from the Agaricus Blazei mushroom. Now there's certainly a lot of products on the market that will supply you with Agaricus Blazei extract in different concentrations. But this product happens to be made by Wayora. By the way, I'm not affiliated with Wayora. I'm not a distributor. I'm not an employee. This is some independent research that I've done for them to compare their product with other products, and I found it to be superior to other products in regard to concentrations of beta-glucan, etc. Not only that, but they've taken the time to combine the beta-glucan extracts with other synergistic ingredients that help it be an even stronger and more potent immunomodulator. And these are ergosterol, linoleic acid, and saso-bamboo, all of which we're going to talk about more closely in the subsequent slides here. So this is beta-glucan, a complex polysaccharide. You can see how all of those six-sided rings are hooked together. That is what we call a polysaccharide. The fact that it's branched and has those two above it makes it a complex polysaccharide. So it's a very big molecule, very complex, and in the next slide we're going to talk about some of its characteristics. This is another great picture here. This is actually a macrophage that's wrapping around and engulfing anthrax bacteria. Those are those red rods that are there. Macrophage, this is exactly how they work. They'll sneak up on the bacteria or the anthrax or whatever it happens to be, and it just sort of wraps around it, engulfs it, and then the enzymes inside the macrophage can neutralize it and get rid of it out of your body. But beta-glucans are these complex polysaccharides that happen to be very water-soluble. They're non-toxic. They're very orally effective. So the products that, like Agarigold, that happens to be delivered in a drop, that you put drops in your mouth, become a very effective way of delivering it. And they stimulate the immune function by binding to these macrophages. And over many years of evolution, these macrophages, interestingly, have acquired a specific docking site or a receptor for these beta-glucans. So macrophages actually like beta-glucans, and they depend on them to help them be stimulated and get out there and do what they need to do. So once this receptor is occupied, it then triggers a chain reaction that starts the whole immune process and the whole immune cascade into action, which then, helps to draw in other cells like lymphocytes and white blood cells and natural killer cells. These macrophages, this is another great picture. This is an actual picture of one of the pseudopods sneaking up and engulfing a piece of pollen that they got a picture of. But the macrophages, a lot of people don't know, but they are actually our first line of defense against these invaders. A lot of people think it's our white blood cells or natural killer cells that are out there. But it's these macrophages, and I call them the big eaters because that's where the name arrives from. It's a Latin derivation from macro, meaning big, and phage, meaning to eat. So they truly are the big eaters, and that's kind of their job within the immune system. So not only do they act as engulfing agents and the little Pac-Man that go around eating up these foreign materials, but they act as internal regulators of the immune system. So they're kind of like the soldiers that get to the scene first and then do the scouting and then call in other troops that they need depending on what they're trying to fight. So they have an ability to signal and activate and draw in other important immune system components that help destroy just a wide array of foreign material. Agarigold is unique because it contains what we call an H1X1 beta-glucan. And the H1X1 is a hybrid, and Weora didn't do this, but this is technology that was developed independently. So what happened was they took an Agaricus Blazei mushroom from the Piedade region in Brazil. The Piedade tribes in Brazil were discovered many, many years ago. And the reason people noticed them is that they were extremely healthy. And they lived to, a lot of them lived beyond the age of 100. But they rarely got sick. And before long, they were known to be probably one of the most healthiest populations of people on the planet. So a bunch of scientists went down there and to find out exactly why these people were so healthy. And the only thing they could find was that the Agaricus Blazei mushroom grew wild in that region, and they all ate them, and they ate them every day. And they said, it must be this Agaricus Blazei mushroom and this particular strain of Agaricus Blazei. So this Agaricus Blazei strain then was independently bred and crossed with another mushroom strain, and what happened was the H1X1 hybrid mushroom actually produces more beta-glucan than the Agaricus Blazei strain ever did on its own, or the other mushroom that they crossed it with ever did on its own. And so what that means is that the Agarigold, which contains this hybrid beta-glucan, actually contains some of the highest concentrations of beta-glucan in a commercially available product that I've been able to find. So the result then is that if you take this, you can certainly get a healthier and more efficiently functioning immune system. Mutagenesis, which means the birth of mutations. So in addition to enhancing immune function, mushroom, particularly Agaricus Blazei, also plays an important role in decreasing mutagenesis. Mutations are actual changes within the sequence of your nucleotides within your DNA. That sequence is very important because the body actually reads that sequence and then produces RNA and then proteins that are important for certain chemical reactions that are meant to keep your other body systems healthy as well. So that sequence in your DNA is vitally important. So any changes in that sequence really can cause a lot of problems, and the most serious of which is cancer, but certainly other things can occur too when you get these things. But how it can change the sequence is by either adding additional nucleotides or deleting nucleotides, or actually switching positions of that sequence. But at any rate, a mutation, by definition, is a change in the nucleotide sequence of your DNA. There are certain things in the environment that actually that are physical and chemical agents that can actually act as mutagens, or agents that can cause mutations and certainly stimulate mutagenesis. So some of the common ones that we run into every day are ultraviolet light from the sun, toxic environmental chemicals, and other pollutants in the air can oftentimes act as mutagens and cause this problem. But the effects of the mutagens can really, as I mentioned, increase your risk of cancer and certainly other diseases. So the research studies that have been done have shown that the extracts from Agaricus Blazei can actually decrease the rates of mutagenesis. And in a study that was performed by scientists actually in Brazil, some of the extracts of the Agaricus Blazei mushroom were found to significantly reduce the number of what we call micronuclei, or damaged nuclei, in Chinese hamster cells. So a micronuclei would be evidence that the DNA sequence in their DNA and nuclear matter has been damaged. And in Chinese hamster cells that were exposed to these powerful mutagens. And in this study, the Agaricus Blazei extracts were actually found to be anti-mutagenic in this particular cell line. So that is, they prevented the cellular DNA damage that was caused by exposure to the mutagens they were using in this experiment. And then in another study, actually, at the School of Pharmacy at the University of North Carolina, the Agaricus Blazei extract was given orally to some mice that were exposed to chemical mutagens and ultraviolet light. And that exposure caused skin tumors, which we call papillomas, that are pretty easy to see. And then the mice that were given the Agaricus Blazei extract had delayed formation of these papillomas and even a reduced number of the papillomas compared to the untreated mice. So although more research needs to be done, this anti-tumor promoting activity could be quite promising for future cancer studies. And I actually know of a company here in the Twin Cities that's actually working with different types of beta-glucans from mushrooms for cancer therapy. And some of their initial results are looking quite promising.
Do you know what the name of the company is?
I'd rather not say.
Okay, all right. I'll ask you afterwards.
In addition to what I've just mentioned, the beta-glucans and the effect on mutagenesis, they also contain ergosterols. And ergosterol is interesting. It's a biological precursor to vitamin D2. And when it's exposed to ultraviolet light, it converts to ergocalciferol, which is the active form of vitamin D. So as you probably know, vitamin D is actually required for the absorption of calcium, which is essential for good bone health. But ergosterol also has some interesting properties recently studied by scientists. And this was a study done in 2001 where ergosterol was given orally to mice. And these mice were genetically programmed to grow what we call sarcoma tumors, and that's what those pictures are that you can see on the slide. So after 20 days of treatment, the tumor growth in these mice was significantly less than in the control mice. They were given the Agaricus Blazei, which contained the ergosterol. So further investigations revealed that the ergosterol was actually inhibiting the growth of new blood vessel cells in these tumors, a process that we call angiogenesis. So angiogenesis means the birth of new blood vessels, and the ergosterol was able to slow that down. And you can actually see that in the slide. The top picture actually shows good blood flow. The bottom picture actually shows very blunted blood flow. Mm-hmm. So what happens when ergosterol is exposed to, at least in this experiment, that tumor actually withered up and died in those mice. So in these experiments, we're found to accomplish some pretty amazing results without any side effects, and really no effects that were adverse on any of the surrounding tissues also. Another compound, go ahead.
So ergosterols sort of, they play a role in mutagenesis?
No, they're primarily playing this role for the angiogenesis.
Angiogenesis, got it. Okay.
Yeah, but it's the Agaricus Blazei extract that has the mutagenic effect.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
So another compound that's present in Agari Gold that's not present in a lot of other products that's been added, actually, is called linoleic acid, which is an omega-6 fatty acid. We know that low levels of linoleic acid in your body result in hair loss, poor wound healing, and other problems. But a lot of people don't know that linoleic acid is actually an aromatase inhibitor as well. And aromatase actually causes the conversion of testosterone to estrogen in the body. So if you inhibit that, then you can have an anti-estrogenic effect. And there's actually been some studies done at the University of Texas and also at the University of Georgia that shows that linoleic acid was actually found to selectively inhibit the proliferation of estrogen receptor positive breast cancer cells. And so, although this research is awfully new as well, this aromatase inhibition effect can actually probably be, used in some application for estrogen receptor positive breast cancer cells.
Now, sorry to interrupt again, but my question with the linoleic acid, the omega-6s, we've been made to believe that we're getting way too much omega-6s in our diet as opposed to omega-3s. So the question is, why would we want to have a product that has more of omega-6s if we're already getting so much in our diet?
It's not so much that it would be a good daily intake of omega-6, I tend to agree with you. Omega-3s would be more preferable. But if you have a compromised immune system and you need some of this effect, then the omega-6s can benefit you. But it's not that you should be bulking up on your omega-6. I agree.
Okay.
There's an interesting ingredient that probably none of you have heard of that's actually present in this Agaricus product, and that's called Sasa bamboo, which is a native Japanese plant that's been used for centuries in Japan for various conditions. But the production of oxygen-free radicals in cells and body tissues is known to cause, as a lot of you know, a number of pathological disorders, and that's why antioxidants are so popular, not only for anti-aging, but also taken adjunctively when you're sick. So free radical scavengers like this Sasa bamboo can play an important role in the prevention of various human diseases. In addition, Sasa's also got two other important ingredients, which I kind of like because they're synergistic with the beta-glucans. And one is the arabinoxylan, and the other is lignin. And the arabinoxylan has been shown to augment natural killer cell activity, as well as increasing the production of interleukins and interferons, which are actually sort of chemical signaling agents in the body, what we call cytokines. Lignin is well known for its ability to stimulate macrophage activity, just like beta-glucan, and also increases the production of the immune-modulating cytokines, the interleukins and the interferons. So the addition of the Sasa bamboo to Agaricus, I think, really promotes its abilities to be an even more powerful product. So that's the H1X1 mushroom extract plus the Sasa bamboo and the other ingredients that make it, in my opinion, a pretty unique product.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't emphasize enough, we're coming to the end of the presentation here, I just can't emphasize enough how important I think a normally functioning immune system is to your health, and certainly if your immune system is compromised, it can lead to some fairly serious health problems. And as immune function declines with age and exposure to environmental toxins, all the more reason to pay attention to your immune system and keep it functioning at peak performance if you possibly can. But a lot of the things that we're exposed to on a daily basis are kind of unavoidable, aren't they?
Right.
I mean, we have to walk outside, and we have to drink the water and eat some of the food that nowadays is probably not as good as it was in years past. And so we are exposed to toxins, we are exposed to pollutants that we really have no control over on a daily basis, which can be damaging our immune system. So, I think that not only Agaricus Blazei products of any kind, but particularly this product, I think, is a nice, well-balanced product that would give you the biggest bang for the buck, if you will, when you're looking for something to help your immune system stay healthy and happy. And I would be very happy to answer any other questions from you, David, or any of the other listeners.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks again, Dr. Zenk. Folks,
Sure.
Just as a reminder, just type in the blue panel, floating panel to the right of your screen, and I'll read the questions over here. By the way, if I do reply, I am not Sherry Platt. I'm David. Sherry is the organizer of this meeting, so that's her name that you're going to see. I was interested. Sometimes there's a confusion about the difference between immune system modulation and immune system stimulation. Could you just comment on that and help us clarify
Sure.
the terms?
Sure. Immune system modulation is a generic term, which means you're doing something to the immune system.
Okay.
And that can be you're either upregulating it or you're downregulating it.
Okay.
And so there are things, like chemotherapy, which are immunosuppressants, or steroids, which are immunosuppressants. And then there are immunostimulators. A good example we talked about tonight, which is the Agaricus and the Agaricus Blazei mushroom extracts.
Got it. Okay. Folks, just before I forget to say this, if any of you is interested in taking a look at the product or using it for yourself and seeing how it works on you, there's a website you can go to. Again, I'm just going to say this. if this is, if you've been invited by someone else who's a Wayora distributor, please get back with the person who invited you. However, if you just came, you just saw our notice on your email, and you just came over to hear about this, this website is a good way to get the products. Mark and DD Skipper, the distributors, and they will be glad to help you get you the products that you need. In addition, Wayora also deals with the NCDs, which are of course the zeolites, which help to remove heavy metals from your blood. And I think this also works together with the Agaricus to help your immune system. So just in case you want to find out about that, I'm sending you the link on the website right now. All right, questions. Let me get some questions out of this. Hang on. Boy, it's so much easier when Sherry's here. She makes it so easy. Don't tell her I said this, okay?
Yeah.
All right, I was going to ask you this question, but someone beat me to it. I just got on. Has he addressed autoimmune disease and how these ingredients also affect the autoimmune diseases?
Autoimmune diseases are, one curious anomaly that occurs with the immune system where the body is actually making an antibody towards itself. And a good example of this would be lupus. Another example is rheumatoid arthritis. Scleroderma is another autoimmune disease. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of a different arm of the immune system, which is an antibody-mediated arm. What we're talking about here tonight is the portion of the immune system that actually is in charge of gobbling up foreign invaders like viruses, bacteria, pollutants, things that can make you sick, even like tumor cells that make it into your system and make you sick. So it's the first line of defense, and these macrophages that can be modulated by taking Agaricus Blazei and that contain these beta-glucans. This product wouldn't do much for autoimmune problems because it's a completely different arm of the immune system which does different things. So we're talking more about the first line of defense components of the immune system tonight.
Got it. So it's okay. It's more in terms of modulation.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Someone asked, and folks, I just have to say this again, that these webinars are not as a diagnosis or a treatment for any kind of condition. So a question like this, I'm just going to mention it, but of course, Dr. Zenk, you can address it however way you feel like addressing it. The question is, how much Agaricus should be used if a person has cancer?
Well, all I can say is the recommended dose is 6 drops once or twice a day. And certainly if someone has cancer, I would err on twice a day rather than once a day. But it's the numbers of drops are basically in that range, considering the dose that's in the product.
Got it. And again, this is not to treat the cancer, but just to help stimulate your immune system to deal with the burden that it's dealing with. So.
Oh yeah, one of the biggest things that happens when people get cancer is not only does the cancer damage your immune system on a chronic basis, but if your cancer is being treated with chemotherapy, radiation, and other therapies, then your immune system takes an additional hit on top of that. So it's not so much treating the cancer, and I'm certainly not here to tell you that Agaricus treats cancer. That's not the message for the night. Mm-hmm. But the message for the night is that not only do things in the environment compromise your immune system, but when you have cancer, when you have chronic disease, then you have an additional detrimental effect on your immune system that can be modulated by some of these things we talked about tonight.
Okay. Another person has a question about autoimmune disease. He says, can overstimulation be a problem for those with autoimmune problems? Would you say they should stay away from it if they have autoimmune problems?
No,
Okay.
Because that, like I mentioned, that's a completely different system within the immune system. And this is more of kind of the day-to-day health-related issues that macrophages primarily control that we can modulate.
Okay. Is Agaricus a standardized and stabilized product to protect the nutrients integrity and give us same dose from batch to batch?
Yes, it is.
It is?
Yeah, I've worked with Weor long enough that they do things the right way, and they don't fool around with extracts that are not standardized. So this particular product has been worked on extensively, and it's very much a standardized extract that actually gets tested lot to lot to make sure that you're getting what is delivered on the label.
That's good. That's very good. Can Agaricus be used if a person is doing chemo?
Sure. Yep.
It helps. It helps to protect against the ravages of chemo too, I'm sure.
Yeah, but like I mentioned, chemotherapy can be very compromising to the immune system, and if there's something that you can do to help, help to upregulate your macrophages at least, then that would give you some benefit.
Okay. I heard that Agaricus would be helpful for the digestive system. I did not notice that specifically in your presentation. Are there any specific digestive system improvements we need to know about?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay.
Not that I know of.
But then again, the immune system is like quite a lot of the immune system is in the digestive tract. So if this helps with the immune system, then surely it should have a good effect on the digestive tract as well.
That's correct.
What if a person is allergic to mushrooms? Can you still take this product?
Ooh, that would, probably not. Probably not, because, it kind of depends on what part of the mushroom that you're allergic to. I mean, mushrooms are, not that complex, but this is just one component of a mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
And but I would be certainly careful before I would, experiment with it.
Okay.
If you're allergic to
Yeah, that's a good point. Again, folks, if you want to know how to get the product, it's at ncdworks.com. ncdworks.com. Someone asked, I want to be careful that the way we ask these questions, but will the Agaricus help Lyme disease?
Not directly. Lyme's disease is actually a bacterial infection from a spirochete called Borrelia, and it almost has to be treated with an antibiotic.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, if a person has chronic Lyme's disease, and there is such a thing, it's basically undiagnosed Lyme disease, that would have probably an immunocompromising effect long term that the Agaricus might help with to some degree. But as far as treating the infection, no. But
Okay.
as far as keeping your immune system healthy during the infection, yes.
Okay. Does Dr. Zenk ever recommend saccharides from aloe vera or seaweed?
I haven't so far, no.
Okay.
I'm aware of them, but I haven't done a lot of research on those.
And the Agaricus does have saccharides, like you mentioned.
The polysaccharide, the beta-glucan,
Polysaccharides.
yeah.
Right.
Those I've studied pretty extensively, but there's certainly lots and lots of other polysaccharides around. So
Now, you mentioned that the macrophages have a specific receptor site for the beta-glucans. Is that the kind of saccharide they have the most affinity for, or are there other saccharides that the macrophages like to have?
It's very much specific for the beta-glucan polysaccharide.
Really?
Yeah, and you can certainly find beta-glucans in other things other than mushrooms. It just so happens that the Agaricus Blazei mushroom, in that particular strain of mushroom, has a beta-glucan that is in high concentrations that get into your bloodstream pretty readily and have this effect. So it's a good source and an economical source to get your beta-glucan.
In other words, the macrophages jump for joy when you load them with beta-glucans.
They love that stuff.
Okay. All right. Wow, you just seems the questions just keep coming in. This presentation was really sparked up a lot of questions. When treating cancer, do we stimulate function and immune function? And if so, why do we use chemo?
Oh.
Someone's going to get us in trouble here.
Yeah, no, well, that's just probably a good general question about cancer therapy. But remember that the reason that cancers grow so readily in our body is that they're genetically different from normal tissues in their body. And the cells within those cancer cells divide at a much faster rate than normal cells do. And so the way we target our therapy is to target those rapidly dividing cells. So some of our cancer therapies, the ones that involve, monoclonal antibody targeted, are very specific for the rapidly dividing cells in the tumor that we're trying to kill. But in the old days, and in certain cancers now, the chemotherapy that we gave killed all rapidly dividing cells, which included not only the cancer cells, but stem cells in our bone marrow. That's why a lot of people get anemic during chemotherapy or radiation. Or that's why their white counts might drop. It's because the stem cells that are in the bone marrow, which are called hematopoietic stem cells, are slowed down significantly during chemotherapy and radiation therapy. So what we're trying to do with those types of therapies is to get at the cancer because it's dividing faster than normal cells.
Got it. Yeah. It seems like we're hearing a lot of breathing around the microphone. Maybe you could just take the microphone an inch or two away. That will minimize the extra sound. Okay, thanks. Folks, someone was asking about the recording of the webinar. What we do, folks, is that the presentations, the live presentations, are free. But if you want to get a review or replay the presentations, you can get them from our site at a very low fee, but they are not free afterwards. It's the live presentations that are free. What we've done is that we've provided a membership program where for a low monthly fee, you can actually have access to all the webinars for 30 days plus, and then you get like 50% off of everything else in the store, and 20% off for the DVDs and the hard copies. So that's kind of like the way we work it. Many of these things help us to keep these webinars going. There's a lot of cost involved in it, as you can imagine. So sorry, we will not be providing them for free after the webinar, but if you would like to view a copy afterwards, just visit our website. All right. Okay, so this autoimmune thing keeps on coming up. Can you say something about the raw aspect of a Gary Gold product? The raw aspect. Do you know what that means?
Not really.
Okay. Well, if you would like to clarify the question, please retype it. Would this be an effective adjunct to a parasite cleanse?
Yes, it would.
Okay. And someone says something about can you use this along with the natural cellular defense which contains zeolites? Is there some kind of synergy there you want to talk about?
It can be used together, and I don't know if there's an actual synergy, but when you think about it, they would be good together, wouldn't they? Because the zeolites are designed to attract and bind and get rid of heavy metals primarily in the body, but certainly viral particles and other foreign invaders, which would take a load off the immune system. And then if you add the Gary Gold to that, in addition to it, then that would be all the more reason that your immune system would stay pretty healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a 1-2 punch, huh?
Yeah. I think they'd be a good team.
Thank you for the presentation, Dr. Zenk. Could you speak a little bit more about killer T cells and their effect on the immune system? Also, can you explain why this would not be harmful for people who have autoimmune diseases?
We've kind of covered the autoimmune
yes,
already. But natural killer cells are very interesting cells. They're a type of immune cell which is actually derived from a lymphocyte line. And they're highly differentiated and are primarily important when we're talking about cancers. The natural killer cells have an ability to target and fight off cancer cells and also solid cancer tumors. So, and although we did mention natural killer cells tonight, the Agaricus Blazei and the beta-glucans don't have a huge effect on the natural killer cells other than activating the macrophages, which may then signal other important cells to an area where they're needed.
Okay. Thank you for a great webinar. Would you recommend this product for someone who does not have a poor immune system, just as a daily preventative measure?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yep. Primarily because of the exposure to environmental toxins, which puts a load and a strain on your immune system on a daily basis anyway. And, particularly during I'm from Minnesota, so particularly during the wintertime in Minnesota, not only are we exposed to cold and pollutants and other things in the environment, but, that's flu season and a lot of viruses are around at that time too. So it's important, I think, for everyone to kind of keep an eye on their immune system and keep it functioning as much as healthy as they can.
Got it. Is Agaricus safe or helpful for diabetics?
Certainly safe for diabetics. Diabetics in general, depending on how long you've had diabetes or how severe your infection is a chronic disease and can have a compromising effect on your immune system. So it's not contraindicated, and I think it would be a good idea.
Great. Someone asked if I can show the slide on the superfoods that I showed initially before the presentation starts. So if you don't mind, I'll just temporarily take the reins back from you, Dr. Zenk.
Sure.
And I'll just show them the slide they were asking about. There you go. Can you see my screen?
Nope, hang on a second.
Okay.
Yep, I can.
Okay, great. All right. Speaking of digestion, I've heard that AG can consume the toxins created by Candida. Is that true?
What can consume the toxins?
Agaricus can consume.
Agaricus?
Yeah.
I'm not aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
But if that is a systemic problem, and macrophages certainly are in charge of that kind of invasion, if we're stimulating macrophages, it could have an impact on that. Yeah.
Okay. Can this product be taken along with other supplements and antioxidants? Sure it can.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Would you repeat the website again and spell it out slowly? NCDworks, WORKS.com. NCDworks.com. Dr. Zenk's slides available online. Yes, they are available on our website. They may be available on other websites as well. The website is in front of you. Dr. Zenk, did you just create these for this meeting, or you've had them? I think you've had them for a while, haven't you?
I've had them. I add to them as I find better pictures and funner things to look at. But yeah, I've had them for about a year or so.
Okay. I love the pictures. Really good stuff.
Yeah, I love those pictures. Those are. It's pretty rare that you can actually see those macrophages looking like that. They're very interesting.
I actually thought they were photoshopped or something.
No, those are the real thing. Those are the real thing.
Okay. Any application to staph infection?
Yes. Staph is an invading bacteria that the first line of defense for an infection like that would be macrophages. And so stimulating them to get at the staph bacteria as quickly as possible would be beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, let me see that. I think Someone says yes, you can. It doesn't cause allergy. So I think someone was asking a question I had asked earlier, answering a question I had asked earlier on. I think this. Okay, Agarigold, is Agarigold a raw food product, or is the mushroom / bamboo cooked to make the product?
There's no cooking involved, but there is an extraction process involved. So what they do is they actually grow the this H1X1 hybrid mushroom, and then it goes through a extraction process that doesn't involve cooking, but it involves some extraction of the beta-glucans out of the mushroom. And then the other ingredients are commercially available, except for the sauce of bamboo, which is a plant extract, which is not cooked, by the way, but it goes through another extraction process.
Okay. Okay. I know you answered the question about staph infection. Someone says, how about MRSA? And I think that's the same family, isn't it?
About what?
MRSA, MRSA. MRSA.
Oh, ooh, that's the potent one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would act the same way and recognize that as foreign, but that's a very difficult bacteria to treat.
Yes. And let me just put a plug in here for you folks. We actually had a doctor come and do a presentation on a special kind of silver. No, it's not colloidal silver, but it's a nano silver, a new technology that helps to actually combat specifically things like very difficult staph infections and all that. And this, I believe, can be used in conjunction with a product like Agarigold, because again, this does not. Agarigold deals with the immune system. It helps to strengthen your body's immune system. Sometimes it may need the help of other things like NCDs and the silver solution that can actually target specifically the toxins, the bugs, the heavy metals, and take care of that. So again, the whole idea is to give you a wider range of your options to use for your health, rather than just one product and one product only. So there are answers, in fact FDA-approved answers to dealing with specific bugs. And again, the information can be found on our website. All right, I just have one more question, and I think that's going to take care of it for tonight. Is heat involved in the extraction process?
Usually not. No, usually not. There's some extraction processes that do involve heat, but this is a non-heat related extraction.
Okay. Well, that's good, because it preserves the enzymes, it preserves the life nutrients in it,
Yeah,
right?
that's the reason we don't use it, yeah, because that would break down those polysaccharides pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. That's huge. That's huge. All right. Well, that kind of takes care of most of the questions. Again, thank you, folks, for joining us on the webinar. Dr. Zenk, do you have any more any final words you want to leave us with? We've really enjoyed this.
No, I just thank you for inviting me to speak to everyone tonight, and I enjoyed it.
Well, thank you very, very much, and hopefully we can get you on for some more things. I know we spoke about obesity and Alzheimer's disease, but those slides weren't ready yet. So I'm still going to be on your case to get you on to do those other presentations whenever you can.
Okay, well, good night, everyone.
All right, thanks a lot. Good night.